Hi everybody, it's Laura from Green Tree, and today we are talking about people food and pets. You know that they love it, they want to get it whenever they can, and you know that we like to treat them and give it to them. But there are certain foods that you really just should not feed to your pets. People food can sometimes make your animals really sick. So today we're going to go over a list of the foods that you really should not give to your animals. I don't know about you guys, but I am an animal lover, so it can be hard for me to deny them treats, but sometimes you just have to do it. So the first thing on our list is xylitol. This is an alternative sweetener. It's found in things like gum and toothpaste, but also things like baked goods and certain kinds of chocolate. Shouldn't be letting them have chocolate anyway, but that's a little later on the list. So the problem with xylitol is it's really bad for dogs and cats. It's also bad for other types of pets as well. But I'm going to go from my list here just to make sure I get this right for you. It can cause vomiting, seizures, and liver failure, among other things. It doesn't take a lot of xylitol to make this happen either. So if you made yourself a nice cupcake with some xylitol instead of sugar, don't let that dog have a bite, okay? The second thing, sorry about that, I've got a wobbly table today. The second thing is chocolate, coffee, or caffeine. Now you probably already know this, but chocolate is bad for dogs. It's also bad for cats. The higher the percentage of the chocolate, the worse it's going to be for your animals. So like white chocolate is going to cause way less problems than baking chocolate. Something like this, an 88% bar, that's going to be a real problem. So chocolate can cause vomiting, panting, heart issues, seizure, and if there's enough of it and it's a high enough concentration, even death. You can actually get similar problems with coffee or other caffeinated drinks that you would have with chocolate. So if you wouldn't give your animal chocolate, don't give them coffee or caffeine. Next, onions, garlic, and chives. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I actually have a cat who will chase after chives or green onions. He wants them. He wants to chew on them, and I have to forcefully take them away. But they're really not good for your animals. They're worse for cats than they are for dogs, so it's a definite problem when mine tries to steal them away. But it's still not great for dogs. This is something where with the alliums, again, garlic, onions, and chives, it's not something that you'll necessarily see right away. This is something that can cause them more of a problem over time. It actually can cause damage to their red blood cells as well as short-term digestive issues. So you just want to avoid letting your pets get a hold of alliums. Grapes and raisins. If you did not already know this, especially for dogs, raisins and grapes are really bad. They can cause liver failure. So if your dog sees that little snack box of raisins, it doesn't know that they're bad for it. It's just like, oh, that's sweet, it smells good, it might eat them. So try and keep raisins and grapes out of reach of your pets, especially dogs. I'm sorry, I think I said liver failure, but it's actually kidney failure that grapes and raisins can cause. Just to be clear, still really bad. So here's one that can be kind of difficult to deny to your animals, which is fatty and fried foods. Now we know they want some of our bacon. They really, really do. Maybe a tiny bite might be okay, but for the most part you want to keep these fatty and fried foods away from your animals. They also tend to contain a bunch of salt, which is another issue, but the levels of fat that are in foods like this are something they have trouble digesting, and it'll cause a whole slew of digestive issues, which is not fun for you to clean up or for the animal to experience that. So stay away from the fatty and fried stuff. Macadamia nuts. Macadamia nuts are also really a big problem for animals. They can cause weakness and vomiting, and these things can last up to 48 hours. Other kinds of nuts are also not great for your animals because, again, they contain a lot of fats and oils, which is hard for them to digest. But macadamia nuts in particular can cause extra problems. So keep them away from the nuts, but especially from the macadamia nuts. Hi, Desiree. Got a little shout out on there. So avocados. This is actually more for birds. You do not want to give your birds avocados. avocados can kill birds. This is not something I knew, but this is apparently a fact of life, that you do not want to give your birds avocados. It's also not good for ruminants, which is like any of those kind of grazing animals with hooves. Like if you have horses or ponies, sheep, donkeys, anything like that, don't let them have avocados. It can cause severe swelling and discomfort, especially of the neck and head. So don't let them have avocados. Besides, they're delicious. Just eat them yourself. Alcohol. This might be obvious, but don't give your pets alcohol. Besides the fact that it can make them get drunk, which is not good for animals, and think they're much smaller than you in most cases. It can also cause vomiting, breathing issues. If they get enough of a strong enough dose, it can put them into a coma, and it can kill them. So don't give your pets alcohol of any kind. Again, just like with the avocado, just keep it for yourself. Everybody will be better off. Here's one that I actually didn't know about. Citrus. The fruit itself isn't such a big problem, and there's certain kinds of birds that actually really like citrus fruit, but the peels and the seeds and the leaves are really bad, especially for dogs and cats and other mammals. It can cause irritation of like the mucous membranes in the skin, and in larger quantities it can actually make them really sick. So my list says irritation and central nervous system depression, which is not a good thing no matter how you slice it. So keep the citrus peels especially and the seeds away from your pets. And if you can avoid feeding them citrus fruit, unless it's an animal that you know really can have it, like some kind of a tropical bird, just don't do that either. Oh, here's one I didn't know. Coconut water. You should not let your pets have coconut water because of the high potassium levels, which they have a hard time processing in their systems. Other types of coconut products like oils and milks and coconut flesh, if there's a small amount of it in something, it's probably not going to bother them, but it's not a good idea to let them have it in any sort of large amounts. This is something similar to the nuts. The high levels of fats can cause them a lot of digestive issues. So generally, don't give them a lot of coconut and stay away from coconut water for pets. Raw or undercooked meats, eggs, and bones. I know it seems like this would be kind of a natural, but the way that our food system is, any of the raw products like this can cause your pets to get foodborne illnesses, just like it can with people. It doesn't matter if you're, carefully avoiding the shell and all of that. It's just not a good idea. So if you want to give them fresh meats or eggs, just make sure they're cooked through first, just like you would for a person. And then the only thing with bones is that sometimes they can be okay, but it's best to check with your vet what kind of bones are going to be best for your pet. Whether they're an animal that can handle raw bones of various sizes, or whether you want to go for like the type you'll find in the pet store that have been baked or processed in some way to make them safer. So just check with your vet on that. Bones can sometimes be okay, but don't just go tossing the leftovers of whatever you're making for dinner to your dog without checking first, or your cat for that matter. It can splinter and get caught in their digestive system, and that's not good for anybody. Salty foods. This is a tricky one. A lot of dogs and cats want to come over when you're having a snack. They want to steal, excuse me, I'm getting over a cold. They want to steal your chips or your popcorn or your French fries. One or two now and then is probably okay, but don't make a habit of it. Excessive amounts of salt can be really bad for your pets. This is another reason why the bacon that I showed you earlier is not something you want to give them. First off, it can cause excessive thirst, which can lead to excessive urination and other hydration issues. But large amounts of salt can actually lead to sodium poisoning. It can cause, here it is, vomiting, elevated temperature, seizures, and if it's enough salt, it can even kill your pet. So don't let them go crazy on the salty snacks. What's good for you is not necessarily good for them. And now this one might seem fairly obvious, but any kind of raw dough is a bad idea. And it's not necessarily a bad idea for the same reason that people shouldn't eat it. The problem with these things is that they are alive and fermenting, and in your pet's digestive system, they can cause bloating and gas production. If it's in their system long enough, it can even ferment and make them drunk. And as we said earlier, alcohol is not good for your pets. But if the bloating is severe enough, it can actually cause parts of their digestive system to get twisted and rotated, and that will necessitate a really serious vet appointment. So don't let them get into your, say, rising bread as you're working on it. Make sure it's up high enough that they can't get to it, that it's covered, or that it's in a room with the door closed. Raw dough, not good for people, not good for pets. And then finally, essential oils. I know a lot of us have these in our homes. We use them in our products. We might even use them on our persons as some type of remedy. Never ever put essential oils directly on your cat, especially. Still not a great idea with dogs, but it's really bad for cats. They lack a specific liver enzyme that's required to metabolize these things in their system, and it can really, really make them sick. The other thing a lot of us have is diffusers. So the oil is being put into the air in our homes. That's a little bit of a 50-50 thing. If you have birds, you probably should not use any kind of essential oil diffuser. It can really cause them serious problems, up to and including killing them. With other types of pets, like cats or dogs or other kind of mammalian creatures, the most important thing is going to be keeping it away from them where they can't actually come into contact with it, and not running it for long periods of time where it's really filling all of the air. Especially with cats, if you notice any kind of breathing problems or coughing, you want to take them to an area where there is fresh air and stop that diffuser right away. Now, that said, I have a cat and I have diffusers, and they are okay so long as you keep them up and away and don't run them for a long time. Again, if you notice any distress in your animals, you want to turn that off and put it away, because I don't care what your house smells like, it's more important to keep your pet safe than it is to make it smell good. So if you want to look into that in more specificity for your animals, go for it, but don't do it if you have birds. Moderation with other types of pets. So that's my list of things that you should not share with your animals. I know the last one wasn't technically a food, but it's something a lot of us have around, so I thought it was important to cover. If you have any other questions about pets and people food, feel free to post them in the comments. We did ask an employee at one of our local vet agencies to help us out with this demo, so we got some good information here, and we can hopefully get you answers for other questions if you have them. Oh. Purchased a diffuser for myself for Christmas. Stopped using it because I didn't want to take the chance on my cat's health. Glad you shared this. Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things that you have to be really careful about and figure out how your cat is. If your cat has asthma or any other kind of breathing issue, that should probably be a flat out no. If you have a healthy cat and you can keep it up and away, it's probably okay in moderation. Just don't let it get on their little bodies. If you're using it to clean surfaces, make sure you're wiping them down afterwards. There's not a residue that can get on their paws. Same for dogs, because they're going to lick that off and get it into their system, and that's when you're really going to run into trouble. So that's all my tips and information about what you can and can't share with your pets. Hopefully that was helpful, and I hope you guys have a happy Tuesday, and most of you are feeling healthy and well despite all the stuff that we have going around. So see you guys later. Bye.